Okay ya. Oke.
Actually agak
Halo guys.
understand about international.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone, and welcome
Salam.
to the group
Salam
discussion
Morning.
warahmatullahi
of
wabarakatuh.
Advanced Linguistics for the second meeting. So what I hope in these presentations, guys, that both of you can give a brief explanations or give a brief definitions about what you have learned on the previous lessons or on the previous meeting. So without further ado, thank you for joining this meeting. And yeah, the time is you guys. Who would you like to start first? We have three topics actually. What we have learned in previous before. We have morphemes, syntax, and also phonemes. And if you already have nouns or you have something to want to say about that, yeah, the time is yours now. Thank you.
Maybe I'd like to start first. Do you guys hear my voice clearly?
I hear your voice, but it's not clear. It's not very clear.
So, what I got from the first sessions with Mr. Zulfatli here is I have three topics: phonetic, morpheme, then syntax. Maybe later you would like to discuss about syntax or phoneme, but here I would like to describe about what I know about morpheme, which is morpheme is the smallest units in a language that have meaning actually, but it can be classified as pre-morpheme, which is standalone word, and it has meaning of rows, or bone-morpheme, which combine with a morpheme to form a complete word. Bone-morpheme typically appear as affix in English language. Um, Maybe I'd like to give you the example here. Uh, do you guys ever heard about the word farmer? Of course, yes. Then in farmer, uh, there is a root word which is farm, and we call the farm here as primorphem. Then er in the end of the word, it's called as bone morphem. Do you guys understand until here?
Mm,
Okay,
yes,
check.
yes, go on.
Yes.
Okay, go on.
Then another example here, I'd like to give the word unconditional. Unconditional, if we uh, first we need to look for the root word here, which is unconditional. I think the root word here is condition, which is condition, as we know there is a meaning of conditions, right? Then in the first word, and all and conditional no in the end of the word, it's called as bone morpheme, which is and all here there is no meaning of that word. So that's it, what I know about morpheme here. Maybe you'd like to add more additional information.
Okay, if there is, okay, while the other also wanted to add something, I also wanted to add about what we learned about morphemes. Like as you say, is that it's true. Like definition of morpheme itself is the smallest meaningful unit in language, and then a morpheme is not necessarily the same as a word. And then also what we have to know in the morpheme is so there is how many times how many kinds of morpheme itself. So we learned before we know that there is some types of morphemes. It include like the free and bond morphemes, right? Okay. And then every morpheme can also be classified as either free or bonds. And then let's see now what is the definition of free morphemes now. That the free morphemes can function as independently as well, because it has its own meaning. And then also bond morpheme appears only a parts of words. It's always in a conjunctions with the word and sometimes with another bond morpheme. And now let's see the classifications of bond morpheme itself. And then also in morphemes, we know there is also two types, right? Derivational morphemes and also inflectional morphemes, right? I think both of you already know about that. And if you wanted to add the definition of that, yeah, I would love to. And then also in morphemes, we also know there is an allomorph. So the definition of allomorph is a variance of morphemes that differ in pronunciation but are semantically identical. For example, like in the English plural maker, so we're gonna add e, s, or as of regular nouns that can be pronounced as. For example, like in the word that. So we're gonna add s at the end of the word, so the pronunciation is gonna be that. So or like z, as a box, or iz, buzzes. It's depending on the final sound of the nouns plural form self. So and then let's see the content of the functions. So I think the contents of morpheme is express a concrete meaning of or content. And then the functions of morphemes have more of a grammatical role. For example, like the morphemes fast and set can be considered content morphemes. On the other hand, the suffixes at is a function morpheme sign. It has the grammatical function or indicated past tense, right? So there is also some the add explanations toward these morphemes. So maybe the others also wanted to add. If now we can continue to the next topic. Thanks. So Pak Usna also maybe. So Fira, Farah,
Nothing is
Fira
already
also.
clear. Uh, can you move to the next topic?
Okay. So Mira, you got it right. Okay. So is there anything you want to add also about the morphemes? So if not, we can go to the syntax. I think the syntax is the most crucial things that we have to discuss in this in this topic, like in this discussion, because it's quite hard to understand when we're gonna define or we're gonna restructure the sentences because and also what we have to learn in the syntax and what terms we need in the syntax. Like for example, there is a VP and then the NP, so we have to know about that. And then what we should considerations about BP or the NP itself. So okay, we're gonna continue to the syntax. And then maybe some of you want to add or want to explain about what is a syntax. Yes. Okay, times is yours.
Okay, I want to explain about the definition of syntax. Syntax is the
Okay,
part
sure.
of the grammar that represents a speaker's knowledge of the structure. In other words, syntax is the study of sentence pattern of language. So the aim of the syntax, we study syntax is to show people what syntactic structure is and what the rules that determine syntactic structure are like. For example, syntax is divided into some part like PP, NP, and then PP. PP is verb phrase, NP is noun phrase, and PP is preposition phrase. And NP is divided to D and NP, determiner and determine and noun phrase. For example, a book, for example, that can you guys give the example? I confused with example, which should I
And
share?
for example, hit a ball.
Okay, hit a ball. Hit a ball is kind of verb phrase, right? Because hit
Yes,
is a verb. Hit is a verb, and then like what else?
it
Hit the ball.
follows with the noun phrase,
Follow
right?
with the noun phrase. The is determiner, and ball is noun.
Yes. It's okay. Go on.
Okay, I'm sorry
Okay,
for noisy.
can any of you guys for example like providing us the clear explanations, for example like what we should considering in CP or what we should considering in EP, because on that sentence you also include that we have a determiner or we have a preposition. So in in VP or in NP, so is there also a preposition consists in VP or determiner also consists in a VP or NP, or it have a specific terms that P or D or determiner or an article is only used on NP or not, or it may be used in both of them.
Okay. Let me explain. There are four phrase structure rules. The first one is sentence. In sentence, there should contain noun phrase and verb phrase, which is NP and VP. And then the second one, in noun phrase, which is NP, it should be contained of D, determiner, A, I forgot A, adjective,
Adjective.
noun, and
Article or adjective. A.
yes,
Adjective.
and noun, and
Adjective.
then PP, preposition, phrase. And then the third one is VP, which is verb phrase. It should be contained V, verb, NP, noun phrase, and PP, prepositional phrase. And then the last one is PP, prepositional phrase. It should be contained of P, preposition, and NP, noun phrase. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Is
all
it
I
clear?
got when we study together.
From what I've heard,
And I will give the example of what Farah told. Angry beast thing on the face. Angry is adjective and beast noun and stink verb. And then we have also P on and D determine and noun is face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any else? Maybe
Thank you,
Kausna?
Kafira.
Also.
maybe I'd like
Okay.
to conclude what I got from you, from your explanations. Here is, we have to know the sentence first, which is in sentence, of course, there will be noun phrase and verb phrase. Then in noun phrase or in verb phrase, there will be prepositional phrase. And in that noun phrase, verb phrase, or prepositional phrase, there will be I mean, in noun phrase, it could be determiner, adjective, and noun, of course, in that mix, in that noun phrase. And then in the verb phrase, there could be uh, determiner also, adjective, and verb, of course. Uh, and it could be also there is prepositions in verb phrase, right? Then for the last in prepositional phrase, there will be prepositions. It could be determiner, adjective, or noun also. Is it true?
Okay. I want to ask a question. I don't understand about how if in the sentence contain of auxiliary verb. For example, I am a student. How how we can
I mean, Maghfirah, can you
I
speak
think,
loudly, please?
Mira, I think M
yeah
is included to verb
Yes,
as
because
a
it's
verb
okay.
in the sentence.
So auxiliary verb it's referred to verb phrase,
Verb,
right?
right.
yes.
Okay.
So how you gonna make the syntax of that? If you say that I am a student, right? I am a student or I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a sentence.
I am a student.
I am
So
a
if
student.
okay, if you consider that I am a student is a VP, so what is I? I think I is a noun, right? I'll check. Is it a
Yeah,
noun,
No,
that's the
right?
syntax,
no,
right?
Firman.
Sentence.
Yeah, sentence.
Okay.
I'm a
Yeah.
student is
So
sentence because it has
okay.
full meaning.
Yeah. So how you gonna syntax that? How you gonna structure that when you say that I
So
am a
if we
student?
say,
If you
if we say that M is a verb, it's divided to NP and VP and NP.
Okay.
VP,
yeah, NP, right?
I is a noun, M is
Okay.
verb, and then is determined, and student is noun.
Mhm.
So it
Okay.
becomes a
So
single sentence.
okay. So is it
Maybe,
clear?
okay.
I just confused
So
that M is referred to what pattern.
yeah, just go back to the grammar because we know that what to be is the ox and the ox is a verb, right?
Okay.
So
Or not?
all of the auxiliary verb refer to VP. Yeah.
Because here the
Yeah, of
auxiliary
course.
verb
But
is
yeah, yeah.
another word for verb here. I think like
Okay,
Guys,
but before we going, what? Yes, Farah. What else?
um, I'm a little bit confused about this. I would like to ask you, what is your opinion about um, the difference between animal and human language? But here in this case, we know that there are some animals that speak like human language, or they just imitate the human language. For example, like burung beo.
No, I think
What
it's
do you think
different
about that?
because no, I think it's different because we know that the characteristics of human and animal is a very different, and it's a very clear difference. Human communicates with a verbal, so there should be a voice, and then, but the animal communicate with only how to say it's like because they communicate with some sign. For example, like the ant use their ants, or bee use their dancings, or God using the so for example like that I think so. But because we are human and it's a very unique, and because we have a brain, so we gonna use a verbal, so it's gonna be clearly understands about that. So maybe the others wants to state.
Yes, Farah, I think it is a very different because human language can describe what we say, but the animals cannot. The animals cannot do that. For example, when we say love, in the other hand, we can describe that love. We can take a picture, heart, the picture of the heart picture,
Yes.
before we after just by the picture, not by saying, just we describe the picture of her. Everyone know that is love, but the animal language cannot do that. Okay, I think
Yes.
like that.
As since we know that animals communicate using sounds and expressions and also gestures, and it differs from human language, right? That we use our voice and we produce some speech from our voice to communicate, and we have this structure sentence,
Yeah,
um, and it has a syntax in our language.
of course. Yeah.
But how about burung beo that
Mhm.
No, I
imitate
think
the human language? Is
okay.
it
So
called imitation, or
no,
it
yeah,
also
it's called
contain
imitation.
syntax?
No, there is no syntax because
Just
the parrots do
imitation.
not understand about
Yes.
what kind of what kind of syntax. But yeah, there is an imitation because you know exactly in a language we have the grammar of language, like we have a phonetic, or we have the articulatory phonetics, and
Yes.
then we understand about the international phonetic alphabet, right? But in but for the animal itself, they do not understand. They just imitating. If you're asking, hey parrot, can you say a? Maybe the parrot's gonna imitate it, like say that a. But if you say what kinds of a
Yes.
is that? Is that a structure, or is it the phonetics or the alphabet or not? No. Maybe the parrot is gonna imitate you. We say, so what kinds of a is that? Is that no? So the parrots will not answer the kinds of questions, but the parrot or the animal just imitating that. And then what we have to need also is because we are the humans, and then we have something like we're going to talk in a verbal, so we know that what we need is that the that we know we have to understand exactly about the phonetic or the alphabet itself, so we can produce the sounds itself. So yeah, I think it's that for me. So maybe the other one also. Anything
But
guys
you
could
know, the parrot is a smart kind bird. I've watched a video about a parrot that can speak. The parrot has lived with human for so long, so that the parrot can speak like human. One day, when the owner of the parrot is fixing the car, the parrot is started screaming for help, 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 help. Please get me out of this cage. Help me, somebody help me. And then when the neighbor heard of the voice, it looked like a lady's voice, so that the neighbor is started to frightened and also worried if somebody need help. So the neighbor called the police, and then the police came and asked the owner of the parrots. And then the owner suddenly rushed to the parrot and get the parrot out of the cage, and then showed the police that it is the parrot who spoke like a human, because the parrot has lived with a human for so long that the parrot can speak like human. Do you think it is called imitating also, or this parrot is
yeah
suddenly
that
adapt the
Just
human?
I
imitate.
think
Okay.
Excuse
I
me,
think it's just
Farah.
called imitate because human use language for communication, while the parrots use that language just for imitating, not for communication.
Yeah,
He just
Also,
the parrot
he
just
just
imitate the human
show the,
language.
yeah. I think the
excuse me,
parrot just
guys.
show the expressions, yeah, of
okay
Yeah,
mm,
good.
it
You
of
just
wanna
its
add?
imitate what
feeling.
human say.
Okay, you wanna add something?
Yeah, I'd like to make it clear here. Um, what I understood here is animal also may have a language as complex as ours. However, for human, communications mean that we, as a sender of information to another, for the animals, less about the information but more about mediating or manipulating. But in case of linguistics, it's definitely that linguistics is having deal with this language. Because as we know that linguistics itself is the study of language, how it works, put together, and how it functions. That's why here there is no language. I mean there is no syntax, and we could not uh, we could not similar the the animal language to our language. It's
Okay.
definitely different. That's
Okay,
all.
so guys,
Okay.
because we are limit of the time, so I would like to clear the statement about what Farah say about the parrots show like the parrot have the expressions because the parrot says like help me out of the cage. So I will tell you guys the real story behind that. So exactly what happened to the parrot is the neighbor of the parrot uh they feel or how to say they get a crime. I don't know if it is a crime, but one of the girls on the neck board like she get the violence. I don't know from where, but that girl is being holden in the cage and then always asking for help. So the parrots listen to that voice. Meanwhile, the owner of the parrot is still not in the house. So the owner do not hear about that. So it's only a parrot hearing about the voice. So what happened is because 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 the parrots always hearing that daily and every time, so the parrots try to imitating that. And then when the parrots try to state that at the same time, uh, the parrot always says that help me out of this cage. Meanwhile, the victims of 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 the voice that it imitates is not been there uh, for now, but it happens years before or many years before about that. So that's why the parents always listen to that voice and then try to say that. So when the new neighborhood listen to that voice, and then the new neighborhood try to listen and do believe that this is the expression of the parents. So the parents try to wanted asking to help and please get me out of the cage, but it's not that. So the true story is still the parents imitate the voice, so there is no excuse the parents will understand human language. There is no proof, or there's no scientist already proof about that. So I think it's that. But thanks for the times. I think, yeah, the time is up. Thanks for the discussions, and it's a great discussion that I would love we have a lot of time to do these kinds of questions next time.
Thank you.
So thank you for your time. Thank you for your attentions, and then have a nice time. Have a nice day, guys. See ya. Bye bye.
Okay,